Hey there guys, and it's Zologe here, and god am I excited! Today we're actually going to be covering my favorite deck of all time. This is the Garunix loop, slash Kentucky Fried Chicken deck. This is a very, as you can see, it's a very aggressive deck that just revolves around getting out 2 Garunixes at once, popping one of them, and the loop gets started to clean the board every single turn. It was a great deck to play last, before Duelist Alliance's format, because there was so much monster destruction that the Fire Kings, they just thrived off of it. Like the hands, as long as you don't control Tenki, you can just abuse the fucking hands, or a friggin' supply unit. You can just abuse them. It's really good. But without further ado, let's go into deck profile and explain my choices as we go along. So, first we'd run triple Garunix. This should be pretty self-explanatory. This is Kentucky Fried Chicken right here. When he's destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon him during the next standby phase. And when you do special summon in this way, you destroy all of the cards in the field. Now, how's this important? Well, if you already have a Garunix on board when you special summon the other Garunix this way, you blow up that other Garunix, making it so that these two will loop each other. So you can keep on blowing up the board without paying anything. That is actually a really good thing. Many decks will actually lose to this, regardless if they're Shaddolls or not. If you get this loop off, and if they can't intercept it at some point, they're gonna lose eventually, because they're gonna just lose so much advantage, and it doesn't matter what I destroy. If it's something that just is, when it's destroyed by a card effect, it gets an effect off. I don't care about that as long as it isn't a Garunix, because the loop will just keep on going, and I will just gain so much free advantage. So that's a good thing with the Garunix loop. It's like one of the better ways to play Fire Kings right now. Next we run triple Flammable Fire Dog. This is a pretty good card because it allows us to go into rank 4s very easily. You can also run Flammable Magician in this should you need to go for Synchros, but Synchros is not necessarily something that you'll be doing much in Fire Kings. Next you run triple Yaksha. It should be pretty self-explanatory. When he's destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can target one card you control or in your hand and destroy it. I don't think... No, actually, it doesn't target either, so it just says destroy one card in your hand or your field. Which means that if you have a dead Garunix in your hand, you can just normal summon this and then pop your own Garunix and things will just go off from there. Or if you have a Barong for that matter. So this card is actually a great addition to the deck. Next we run triple Barong. Barong is actually a really good card because it allows us to search out every single Fire King card in our entire deck. That includes the spell cards. So that's really cool. Next we run one Wolf Bark. This allows us to go into rank 4 plays, as well as getting back stuff like Barong and Yaksha and crashing with them. And then just, in case we should need something, we just go for, okay, go Wolf Bark, special summon Barong, activate Circle, and get back something like Garunix instead, and still get the effect off of Barong, which is really good. Sadly it's at 1, but hey, you don't necessarily need him too much. But he's a good there for utility, because you can use him so many different ways in this deck. It's not even funny. Next we go for one Brother to Five-Fist Bear. This is a very interesting monster because you can... it's a plus generator basically, and a way to get rid of monsters that you don't really want. Heck, you can even use this guy to pop your own Garunix to make sure the loop keeps on going. Which is really nice. Next we run 2 Fire King Avatar Kirin. This is actually not a monster that many Fire King decks run, and I don't see why. It's a good card, because when it's destroyed by a card effect, because when it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can send one fire monster from your deck to the graveyard. So you can be like, okay, let's go ahead and activate Onslaught of the Fire Kings. Onslaught of Fire Kings, activate. Then your Fire King High Avatar Garunix is popped. You special summon out your Barong. Then after that, because when a Fire King monster is destroyed, if you have one of these guys in your hand, you can special summon them. So you special summon a Barong. After that, during the standby phase, Garunix is going to come back, pop your own Barong, and then you can special summon out Kirin. Or actually, no, you should do this the reverse order. You summon this thing first, Then you pop your own Baron. Then after this guy gets popped by Garunix, you special summon a Baron, and after that you can just oh yeah, you can also send a Garunix to your grave. After that, you just simply pop him with something, say Yaksha or by another Garunix effect. Because what you want is at least one of these guys in the grave. That's what you want, because all it takes is just having one of these guys in the grave and one on field and a circle. And after that, the loop starts. So that's the easiest way to start the loop. Soul Charge is also an alternative if you like that sort of stuff. I personally don't think this deck needs a Soul Charge because you just blow him up anyway, and you're just going to blow up all the cards anyway, so Soul Charge is kind of going minus in this deck. Actually, it's the only deck that I know of that Soul Charge is bad running in. Besides maybe Lightsworn, because they need the life points in order to use Judgment Dragon's effect. Okay, and next we run the Brother of the Firefist Spirit. Now, Spirit is actually kind of nice because it allows it to go into Beast Lord Vulcan, or Vulcan the Divine, and Horse Prince. So should we find ourselves needing to bounce something, like say a Beals, which won't be touched by Garunix, that's the way to go. And that basically is a monster count. Yes, I'm running quite a low monster count for some reason. It's because the Fire Kings live and die by their spells. Most likely they're gonna die by their spells because they come back afterwards. Next run, a triple onslaught of the Fire Kings. This is a fantastic card. Probably one of the most broken spell cards in this format, aside from maybe Soul Charge. This card is absolutely disturbingly powerful, because not only do you get a free monster out of the deal, but you also get to blow up all monsters on board. So it's kind of broken in that regard. However, your opponent must control a monster, and you control nothing for this effect to work. So this is why Fire Kings likes to go second. If you go second and open up with this, you have a ridiculous advantage. You have no idea how good you're having it, unless you've faced Fire Kings when they have this, and you don't. Next, of course, we run one Dark Hole. Same reasoning. If you have like a Barong or anything really that gets benefits off of being destroyed, you can just go and activate this, get rid of everything your opponent controls, and then next turn go plus off of it. So, without a doubt, Fire Kings has the best Dark Hole in the entire game. Next round, one Rekindling. This is for Xyz plays and Synchro plays, as well as, should the need arise, we get Tribute for Garunix, but that is the worst case scenario. Normally, Rekindling is just a game changer, and it can be used to OTKs, stuff like that, so that's a thing. Next round, triple Mystical Space Typhoon. We need to get rid of the back row, because there's no other back row removal, because Nephthys kind of sucks. So this deck kind of heavily relies on this. If your opponent has stuff like Bottomless Trample, can ridiculously ruin this deck. Along with stuff like friggin' Dimensional Fissure Macro. Not necessarily that those are super relevant this format, but they could ruin Fire Kings like ridiculously bad. So we want this. Also, this deck functions very well under Skill Drain, just saying, so you can put Skill Drain in here too. Actually, no, the deck does not function under Skill Drain at all, because Garunix effect activates when he's summoned. But it can function under Skill Drain, it's just that Garunix is not going to be able to blow up everything. So that's kind of a thing that you need to look out for. Next you run a Triple Circle. This is the start of this is the easiest way to start the loop, and it's also a very great way to generate advantage together with a supply unit. So that's a great thing to do. Just pop a Barong, get the supply unit off, and you just got +1 off of it. So that's kind of cool. Also, it's good for disrupting your opponent's plays. Like for example, okay, we attack with Garunix. Your opponent activates Deprison. Okay, just go Circle, and you just wasted their entire card, and you still get your Garunix effect off. So, yeah. Next run, one Tensu. Tensu is just there to go for Xyz plays, nothing too fancy there. That's why I only run one. Next, you run a triple supply unit for added advantage, because this thing blows up its own monsters like crazy. So, having supply unit is definitely not a bad thing. If nothing else, it's good for MST bait. So, yeah. Next, you run the triple Far Formation Tenki. Tenki just searches out your Yakshas, your Barongs, and your Bear, as well as... Well, it searches everything that isn't Flammable Fire Dog and Kirin and Garunix. It's basically search out all your Fire Kings besides Kirin and Garunix. Stuff like that. So it's kind of nice. And on top of that, you can Tanky Bear pop with it. So it's kind of a good thing. Should you need a emergency pop. Now, regularly, you want this guy to be popped as many times as possible. So you just need to get the loop off as fast as possible. After that, you're golden if your opponent doesn't disrupt it. Next round, 1 Bottomless Trap Hole. This is the worst nightmare for any Fire King deck. And I'm playing it myself because some decks just can't handle it. Like Stellar Knights, they don't like that too much if they go into friggin' their own, if they go into their boss monster and just go bottomless on it. Because I don't think its effect applies to itself when it's summoned first. So next they run triple wire tap to stop deep prisons if we don't have a Circle of the Fire Kings on board, and also stop stuff like negates our summons. And finally, 1 Solemn Warning to disrupt our opponent's place even further. The few plays that they have when the Garunix loop is on board. Next, for the extra deck, we run 2 Horse Prince. Horse Prince is actually kind of a nice card because it allows us to go for our Kirin much easier. But we're not going to be summoning him too much. Since we only have that 1 tuner, so most likely you're not going to need him too much. But next we have Vulcan the Divine. He's basically there in case we should run into any troublesome monsters that can't be destroyed by card effects, such as Beals. Then you just bounce it back. Now Beals is this deck's biggest problem when it comes to monsters. Next we run 1 Kaden Gorgon. It's just kind of a nice little monster. It can prevent targeting. It can change targets. So say that you're running into a fire hand with this thing and you have a Garunix on board, they're probably going to target this and you're just going to go, no, target my Garunix instead. So it allows you to choose your targets, which is really nice. Next run 1 Ragnar Zero, in case we should run into anything that just buffs its attack at some point. And it's just a nice little rank 4 to go into. Next run 2 Tiger Kings. Tiger King is actually a really nice card to go into, mainly for its effect negation abilities, as well as its ability to search out the tankies and the Tensu that we have. Also, it's a nice little fire target, so it becomes something that it can be a game changer if you have it. Next one, 1 Salamandre's Arc is basically just to get rid of any other troublesome cards that are, any other troublesome monsters that are on board. Next one, 1 Castel, the same thing here. You get rid of any troublesome monsters you control that can't be that are in defense positions, like say defense position Beals that we don't want to deal with. We're just gonna go for Castel. Next run, 2 Damodar Wolf. Damodar Wolf is actually a really nice card to have because you can just pop your own Garunix and then pop something like a back row or something. Or more preferably, you just pop the Barong and go plus off of it, as well as popping your opponent's back row. Next we run 1 Accession Knight. You don't necessarily need to use this card as often in this deck because you already have Garunix. But should the need arise, he's there. And next, finally, 1 Lovable Chain. I don't find myself using this guy too much because we already have Kirin. But Lovable Chain still works wonders nonetheless in the deck if you like the rank 4 engine. And now finally for siding, because I actually plays that competitively. So we're on 1 Skullmeister, 1 Maxi, 2 Effect Veiler, 2 Noble Man of Crossout, 1 Non-Fusion Area, 2 Imperial Iron Wall, 2 Light Imprisoning Mirror, 2 Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors, and finally 2 Curse Seals. So you might have noticed that I've sided a lot for Shaddolls. It's because this deck this deck has a already a kind of favorable matchup against Shaddolls. If this thing is on board, you win because they don't get their effects off, and you can just keep on popping without needing to, without just caring really. The same for Light Imprisoning Mirror, because Light Imprisoning Mirror you don't want to play against Shaddolls actually, even though Nephilim's kind of dangerous. This deck doesn't care about Nephilim, because you guys go special summon, go for your special summon avatar Fire King and just ran into it and then just blow it up next turn. But regardless, that is my favorite. This is my favorite deck of all time. I hope you guys like it, and I'm out.